I want you to imagine two investors. The first investor spends almost every day thinking about money. They follow the markets. They read financial news. They watch YouTube videos. They listen to podcasts. They check stock prices before breakfast. They check crypto prices before lunch. They check their portfolio before going to bed. They know the names of hundreds of companies. They know the latest trends. They know what everyone is buying. And yet, they are constantly stressed. They worry about money. They worry about missing opportunities. They worry about making mistakes. They worry about the future. No matter how much they own, it never feels like enough. Now imagine a parrot, a simple green parrot sitting quietly on a wooden perch. The parrot does not watch financial news. The parrot does not follow market predictions. The parrot does not care about economic forecasts. The parrot does not know what Wall Street experts are saying today. And somehow, the parrot sleeps better. The parrot worries less. The parrot makes fewer mistakes. If you followed the parrot's financial habits for the next 20 years, you would probably end up wealthier than most people. That sounds ridiculous. After all, how could a bird possibly understand money better than humans? Because financial success has almost nothing to do with intelligence, and almost everything to do with behavior. The biggest financial mistakes are rarely caused by a lack of knowledge. Most people already know what they should do. Spend less than they own, save consistently, invest regularly, avoid unnecessary debt, stay patient. The problem isn't knowledge. The problem is behavior. Humans are emotional. Humans panic. Humans get greedy. Humans compare themselves to others. Humans constantly chase things they don't need. The parrot does not, and that's why the parrot wins. The parrot follows a few simple rules. Rules that aren't exciting. Rules that aren't complicated. Rules that most people ignore because they seem too simple. But those simple rules quietly build wealth year after year. Today, I'm going to show you the money lessons this parrot understands better than most people. And by the end of this video, you may realize that building wealth is much simpler than you've been led to believe. If you're ready, let's begin. Take a big idea before we get into the rules. You need to understand one thing. Most people think wealth is built through big decisions. They think there's one magical investment, one perfect stock, one life-changing opportunity, one secret strategy. But that's not how wealth is built. Wealth is built through thousands of small decisions, tiny decisions, almost invisible decisions, decisions that seem insignificant at the moment. The decision to save instead of spend. The decision to invest instead of wait. The decision to stay calm instead of panic. The decision to be patient instead of impulsive. Over time, those tiny decisions become enormous outcomes. Think about a tree. A massive tree does not appear overnight. It begins as a tiny seed. Day after day, week after week, year after year, the growth is almost invisible, but eventually the tree becomes impossible to ignore. Money works the same way. The problem is that humans hate slow progress. Humans want results immediately. They want the tree tomorrow. The parrot understands something different. The parrot understands that small actions repeated consistently become extraordinary results. That's the foundation of everything we are about to discuss. Each starts with the first rule. The parrot doesn't chase shiny objects. If you've ever owned a parrot, you know something funny. Parrots love shiny things. Keys, coins, jewelry, anything that sparkles. They notice it immediately. But unlike humans, they don't build their entire future around chasing it. Humans do. Financial markets are full of shiny objects. Every year there is something new. A new investment, a new trend, a new opportunity, a new promise of easy money. People become convinced that they've discovered the shortcut, the thing that will change everything. And so they abandon their plan. They abandon patience. They abandon discipline. They start chasing. A few years ago it was meme stocks. Before that it was cryptocurrency mania. Before that it was house flipping. Before that it was day trading. Before that it was countless other opportunities that seemed impossible to ignore. The details change. The pattern never does. People become excited. Prices rise. Everyone starts talking about it. The fear of missing out grows stronger. More people jump in. Prices rise even more. And eventually, reality catches up. The excitement disappears. The crowd moves on. Amen. People are left wondering what happened. The parrot never enters this cycle. The parrot doesn't care what is trending. The parrot doesn't care what everyone else is buying. The parrot doesn't care about overnight success stories. The parrot simply follows the plan. This sounds boring. And that's exactly why it works. Most financial disasters begin with excitement. Excitement convinces people to abandon logic. Excitement convinces people that rules no longer apply. Excitement convinces people that this scheme is different. It almost never is. Think about the average investor. They spend years building a portfolio. Then a new opportunity appears. Everyone is talking about it. The headlines are everywhere. Social media is full of stories about people getting rich. Suddenly their carefully constructed plan feels boring. So they move money. They take risks. They chase the shiny object. Sometimes it works temporarily. That's the dangerous part. Success reinforces bad behavior. A lucky outcome can convince someone they are smarter than they really are. And that's when bigger mistakes happen. The parrot doesn't suffer from this problem. The parrot understands that wealth is not built through excitement. It is built through consistency. The world's greatest investors have repeated this lesson for decades. Most fortunes were not built through one perfect decision. They were built through thousands of ordinary decisions. Saving regularly, investing consistently, staying patient, avoiding unnecessary mistakes. The boring approach wins more often than people realize. Because investing isn't a competition to be the smartest person in the room. It is a competition to stay disciplined longer than everyone else. The parrot understands that. That's why the parrot ignores shiny objects. While everyone else runs toward the latest trend, the parrot quietly keeps building wealth. The guy parrot repeats what works. One of the most fascinating things about parrots is their ability to repeat. They repeat sounds. They repeat words. They repeat behaviors. Over and over again. Humans often view repetition as boring, but repetition is responsible for almost every meaningful achievement in life. Athletes repeat movements, musicians repeat scales, pilots repeat procedures, and wealthy people repeat financial habits. The problem is that most people underestimate the power of repetition. They want dramatic changes, dramatic results, dramatic breakthroughs, but wealth rarely arrives dramatically. It arrives gradually. Imagine two people. The first person invests $500 every month for 20 years. Nothing exciting happens. No headlines. No viral success stories. No dramatic wins. Just consistent investing. Month after month. Year after year. The second person constantly searches for the perfect investment. They jump between opportunities. They change strategies every few months. They chase whatever seems promising. Which person do you think usually wins? The answer surprises many people. It is almost always the first person. Because consistency compounds. Every contribution builds on previous contributions. Every year strengthens the next year. Every habit reinforces itself. The parrot understands this naturally. The parrot doesn't wake up every morning asking whether the plan still works. The parrot follows the process. Again, again, again. Most people dramatically underestimate how powerful this becomes over time. A single investment isn't life-changing. 100 investments might be. $1 saved isn't important. Thousands of dollars saved consistently can transform an entire future. The challenge is that repetition doesn't feel rewarding at first. The results are invisible. The progress is slow. Humans become impatient. They want proof. They want excitement. They want immediate feedback. The parrot doesn't. The parrot understands that success often looks boring while it is happening. A tree growing isn't exciting. A savings account growing isn't exciting. A retirement portfolio growing isn't exciting. But after enough time, the results become extraordinary. This is why so many people become wealthy despite having average incomes. And why so many people remain broke despite owning enormous salaries. The wealthy person repeats good financial behaviors. The struggling person repeats bad financial behaviors. The outcomes eventually reflect the habits. The parrot understands that money follows repetition, not brilliance, not luck, not complexity, repetition. It leads directly to the third rule. TH parrot never spends tocantins impress other birds. Imagine something absurd. Imagine a parrot buying a bigger perch because another parrot has one. Imagine a parrot taking out debt to buy more colorful feathers. Imagine a parrot spending all its seeds trying to impress birds it doesn't even like. Sounds ridiculous. Humans do this every day, and they call it normal. TH parrot never spends tocantins impress other birds. Imagine something absurd. Imagine a parrot buying a bigger perch because another parrot has one. Imagine a parrot taking out debt to buy more colorful feathers. Imagine a parrot spending all its seeds trying to impress birds it doesn't even like. Sounds ridiculous. Humans do this every day, and they call it normal. People buy cars they can comfortably afford. They upgrade phones that work perfectly. They purchase luxury items they rarely use. They move into larger homes than they need, not because those things genuinely improve their lives, but because those things improve how they appear to others, or at least they hope they do. The strange thing is that most people aren't even paying attention. You're worried about impressing people who are busy trying to impress someone else. It's a cycle. Everyone performing for everyone, nobody actually winning. The parrot doesn't play this game. The parrot doesn't care what the other birds think. The parrot cares about having enough seeds tomorrow. Humans often confuse wealth with status, but they are not the same thing. Status is what people see. Wealth is what people don't see. Status is the luxury car. Wealth is the investment account. Status is the designer watch. Wealth is the emergency fund. Status is the giant house. Wealth is financial freedom. One is visible, the other changes your life. Many people spend decades sacrificing wealth in order to purchase status, and then wonder why they never feel financially secure. Every raise becomes an excuse to spend more. Every increase in income creates new expenses. A bigger apartment, a nicer car, more expensive vacations, more subscriptions, more obligations, more lifestyle. And eventually, the income grows, but the financial stress remains. Why? Because spending expanded alongside earnings. The finish line kept moving. The parrot understands something important. Enough is a decision, not a number. There will always be someone richer, someone driving a nicer car, someone living in a bigger house, someone taking more luxurious vacations. If your happiness depends on being ahead of everyone else, you will never arrive. The game has no ending. The parrot refuses to play. The parrot focuses on needs, not appearances, function, not status, freedom, not validation. And because of that, the parrot keeps more money, invests more money, and builds more wealth. Every dollar not spent trying to impress strangers becomes a dollar working toward freedom. Over years, over decades, the difference becomes enormous. The average person thinks financial success comes from owning more. The parrot knows it often comes from needing less. And that brings us to the next lesson. Rule 4. TH parrot understands that seeds become forests. Every forest begins with a seed. One tiny seed. Small, ordinary, easy to overlook. Nobody looks at a seed and sees a forest. But the forest is already there, hidden inside. Given enough time, money works exactly the same way. Most people underestimate small amounts of money. They think $50 doesn't matter, $100 doesn't matter, $200 doesn't matter, because they focus on the present value. The parrot focuses on the future value. A seed is not valuable because of what it is today. A seed is valuable because of what it can become. The same is true for every dollar you save and invest. Imagine planting a single seed, then walking away because the tree has appeared after a week. That sounds ridiculous. Yet people do the financial equivalent constantly. They invest for 6 months, maybe a year, then become frustrated because they aren't too rich yet. They abandon the process. They stop planting seeds. The parrot understands patience. The parrot understands growth requires time. Compound interest is often called the eighth wonder of the world, not because it is exciting, but because it is powerful. A small amount invested consistently can eventually become something extraordinary. The first years feel slow, painfully slow. Almost nothing seems to happen, but then something interesting occurs. The growth begins generating its own growth. The returns start owning returns. The snowball begins rolling downhill. Suddenly the numbers become larger than expected. This is the point most people never reach. Because they quit too early. They dig up the seed before the tree has a chance to grow. The parrot does not. The parrot keeps planting, keeps waiting, keeps trusting the process. Think about the people. One spends an extra $300 every month on things they barely remember buying. The other invests that same $300 every month. The difference feels insignificant today, but over 20 years, the gap can become hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not because one person owned more, not because one person was smarter, but because one person planted seeds, and the other consumed them. Every dollar has a choice. Each can buy something today, or each can buy freedom tomorrow. The parrot understands this trade-off, and because of that understanding, the parrot sees opportunity where others see sacrifice. Most people focus on what investing costs them now. The parrot focuses on what investing gives them later. That's a completely different mindset. Each changes everything. The parrot doesn't panic during storms. Every investor loves sunshine. Everybody feels confident when markets are rising. Everybody feels smart when prices go up. Patience is easy when everything is working. The real test comes during the storm. Imagine a storm approaching a forest. The wind grows stronger. The sky turns dark. Branches shake. Leaves fall. Everything feels uncertain. The inexperienced bird panics. Each flies every direction, searching for safety, exhausting itself, making poor decisions. The experienced bird stays calm. Each understands storms are temporary. Financial markets work the same way. Every crash feels different. Every crisis feels unique. Every downturn feels permanent. Yet history tells the same story again and again. Markets fall. Fear spreads. People panic. Time passes. Markets recover. The cycle repeats. The problem is that human beings are wired for survival, not investing. When prices collapse, our brains interpret the situation as danger. We want to act. We want to escape. We want to do something. Anything. The parrot understands a powerful truth. Action is not always the solution. Sometimes the best decision is to remain still. Some of the worst financial mistakes happen during moments of panic. People sell investments after prices fall. They lock in losses, then wait too long till return. They miss the recovery, and damage years of progress. Meanwhile, the patient investor remains invested. The storm passes. The recovery arrives. The long-term trend continues. The difference between these two behaviors can be enormous. Not 5%, not 10%, life-changing amounts of money. The parrot understands that market declines are not abnormalities. They are a part of the process. Every successful long-term investor has experienced crashes, recessions, bear markets, financial crises, political uncertainty, global panic. The difference is that successful investors stayed the course. The parrot doesn't expect perfect weather. The parrot expects storms. And because storms are expected, the parrot is prepared. Preparation eliminates panic. The investor who understands market history reacts differently. They don't view downturns as evidence that the plan failed. They view downturns as a normal part of the journey. This mindset is difficult, but each is incredibly valuable, because wealth is often transferred from the impatient to the patient, from the emotional to the disciplined, from the reactive to the prepared. The parrot knows this, and that's why the parrot sleeps peacefully while everyone else watches the storm. Quick question. Which lesson has been the most important for you so far? Is each avoiding shiny objects, ignoring status, trusting compound growth, or staying calm during financial storms? Let me know in the comments. If you're enjoying these lessons from our wise parrot, make sure you subscribe, because in a world full of financial noise, sometimes the simplest lessons are the most valuable. Now let us continue. The parrot pays itself first. Imagine two parrots finding the same pile of seeds. The first parrot eats whatever each wants. Each enjoys the moment. Each takes the biggest seeds first. The tastiest seeds first. And whatever remains afterward gets stored for later. Usually not much remains. The second parrot does something different. Before touching a single seed, each sets some aside. Those seeds are protected, untouchable, reserved for the future. Only after securing tomorrow does the parrot enjoy today. Most people believe they save money, but what they actually do is spend money first in hope something is left over. That's not saving. That's wishful thinking. The average person waits until the end of the month to save. The problem is that life always finds a way to spend what is available. Unexpected expenses appear, temptations appear, opportunities to spend appear, and by the time the month ends, there is very little left. The parrot understands a simple principle: the future must be paid before the present, not after. Before. This is why so many wealthy people automate their savings. They remove decision-making entirely. The money leaves their account before they even see it. No debate, no temptation, no negotiation. The process becomes automatic. The automation is powerful because humans are inconsistent. Some days you are motivated. Some days you are disciplined. Some days you are tired. Some days you are emotional. Systems don't take care how you feel. Systems continue working. The parrot trusts systems, not moods. Imagine two people owning exactly the same income. One saves whatever remains. The other automatically invests 20% the moment every paycheck arrives. 10 years later, their financial lives look completely different. Not because of intelligence, not because of income, because of sequence. The order matters. Save first, spend second. Most people reverse the process. You then wonder why saving feels impossible. The parrot knows something they don't. If saving depends on leftovers, saving rarely happens. If saving comes first, wealth becomes inevitable. This doesn't mean you can't enjoy life. It means you are creating balance. You are taking care of both versions of yourself. The person you are today, and the person you will become tomorrow. Most people spend money as if tomorrow doesn't exist. The parrot remembers tomorrow, and because the parrot remembers tomorrow, the future becomes much easier. One day you wake up and realize something remarkable. The money you invested years ago is now working harder than you are. The seeds are producing more seeds. The system is running. The future is arriving. It all started because the parrot paid itself first. Every seed hipertensão arterial sistêmica. A poupa-se. Imagine a parrot preparing for winter. It gathers hundreds of seeds, but instead of throwing them randomly into a pile, the parrot organizes them. Some for today, some for tomorrow, some for emergencies, some for future seasons. Every seed has a purpose. Humans often treat money differently. Money arrives, money leaves, and very little thought happens in between. People know approximately how much they own, but they often have no idea where their money actually goes. Small purchases disappear into the background. Subscriptions multiply. Expenses quietly expand. Months pass. Years pass. And people wonder why their finances never improve. The parrot understands that every seed must have a job. Every dollar should have a purpose. This is what budgeting really means. Not restriction, not punishment, direction. Many people hate the word budget. They imagine spreadsheets, stress, limitations. The parrot sees budgeting differently. A budget is simply a plan for where your money will go before life decides for you. Without a plan, money flows wherever emotions take it. With a plan, money moves toward goals. The difference becomes enormous over time. Consider two people owning the exact same salary. One spends reactively, the other spends intentionally. One wonders where the money went, the other tells the money where to go. After 10 years, the gap is staggering, not because one owned more, but because one directed resources with purpose. The parrot understands that money is a tool. Tools work best when used intentionally. Think about a hammer. Used properly, it builds a house. Used carelessly, it causes damage. Money is no different. Every dollar spent represents a choice. A choice about values. A choice about priorities. A choice about the future. The parrot doesn't judge purchases. The parrot simply asks one question: what job is this money performing? If the answer is clear, spend confidently. If the answer is unclear, pause. Most financial mistakes happen when money has no purpose. The purchase feels good for a moment, then the feeling disappears, but the money is gone forever. The parrot avoids this trap because every seed already has an assignment. The result is not just better finances, it is greater peace of mind. When every dollar has a purpose, financial decisions become simpler. Stress decreases, confidence increases, progress becomes visible, In that why the parrot never wonders where the seeds went. The parrot already knows. The parrot avoids debt traps. Imagine a hunter placing seeds inside a cage. The seeds look free. The seeds look easy. The seeds look harmless. Many birds see the opportunity. Few notice the trap. By the time they realize what happened, the door has already closed. Consumer debt often works exactly the same way. Each arrives disguised as convenience, disguised as opportunity, disguised as freedom. But underneath, each is often a trap. The most dangerous debt isn't always large debt. Each is comfortable debt. Debt that feels normal. Debt that becomes part of everyday life. Credit card balances, buy now, pay later plans, financing agreements, monthly payment culture. The payments seem small. The consequences seem distant. And that's exactly why they is so dangerous. The parrot understands something critical. Debt steals future seeds. Every dollar spent on interest is a dollar that can no longer build wealth. Imagine planting seeds in a field. Now imagine someone arrives every month and removes part of your harvest. That's what interest does. It takes future resources and transfers them elsewhere. The wealthy understand the power of compounding. The parrot understands something equally important. Debt compounds too. And when compounding works against you, the results can be devastating. A small balance becomes a larger balance. The larger balance creates more interest. The cycle feeds itself. Months become years. Years become decades. And many people spend enormous portions of their lives paying for decisions they barely remember making. The parrot refuses to enter this cycle, not because debt is always evil. Some forms of debt can be useful: a mortgage, a business investment, an educational opportunity. The key difference is whether the debt creates future value or simply finances present consumption. Most consumer debt finances consumption, things that lose value, things that disappear, things that provide temporary satisfaction. The debt remains long after the excitement is gone. The parrot understands delayed gratification. The parrot would rather wait, rather save, rather purchase from strength than borrow from weakness. This mindset changes everything, because avoiding debt does more than save money. It creates freedom. Freedom from payments, freedom from obligations, freedom from financial anxiety. Every payment you don't owe creates flexibility. Every obligation you eliminate creates options. The options are one of the highest forms of wealth. Most people see debt as a shortcut. The parrot sees it as a trade between present comfort and future freedom. Before making the trade, the parrot thinks very carefully, because the parrot knows something most people forget. Freedom is expensive to lose, and incredibly valuable to keep. At this point, the parrot has already done something most people never accomplish. The parrot saves first. The parrot spends intentionally. The parrot avoids unnecessary debt. But the next two lessons may be the most important of all, because they determine whether money becomes a source of stress or a source of freedom. In that's where we headed next. The parrot chooses freedom over luxury. Imagine two parrots. The first parrot lives in a magnificent golden cage. The cage is enormous, beautiful, impressive. Every bird that passes by stops to admire it. The second parrot lives in a simple wooden habitat. Nothing special, nothing luxurious, nothing that attracts attention. But there is one important difference. The second parrot can leave whenever it wants. Which parrot is truly wealthy? Most people would instinctively point to the golden cage, because humans are trained to associate luxury with success. But the parrot understands something deeper. Luxury is not freedom. Freedom is often far more valuable than luxury. Many people spend their entire lives upgrading their cages, bigger houses, more expensive cars, higher monthly payments, more obligations, more commitments, more financial pressure. From the outside, their lives appear successful. From the inside, they often feel trapped. They cannot leave jobs they hate. They cannot take risks. They cannot pursue opportunities. They cannot afford long periods without income. Every financial decision is controlled by necessity. The golden cage becomes a prison. The parrot avoids this mistake. The parrot measures wealth differently. The parrot asks different questions. Can I survive a year without income? Can I walk away from a toxic environment? Can I help my family during an emergency? Can I choose my future? These questions reveal real wealth, not visible wealth, actual wealth. The ability to choose. Think about the people. One owns $250 per year, but spends $240. The other owns $80, but spends only $40. Who has more freedom? Most people focus on income. The parrot focuses on dependency. The first person must continue earning. The second person has options. The options create power. The power to wait. The power to negotiate. The power to say no. The power to pursue meaningful opportunities. The parrot understands that every unnecessary expense reduces future freedom. Every new obligation creates another chain. Every luxury comes with a hidden question. How much freedom am I giving up to have this? Sometimes the answer is worth each. Sometimes each is not. Most people never ask the question. The parrot always does. Over time, the parrot accumulates something far more valuable than possessions. The parrot accumulates choices. Choices are what financial freedom is really about. Not owning everything. Not impressing everyone. Simply having the ability to decide how you want to live. The parrot understands this. That's why the parrot chooses freedom first, luxury second, and that decision changes everything. The parrot thinks in decades. Most people think about next week. Some think about next month. A few think about next year. Very few think about the next 20 years. The parrot does. Imagine planting an oak tree. You don't plant each because of how each will look next month. You plant each because of what each will become decades later. The parrot understands this naturally. The parrot knows that meaningful growth takes time. Humans struggle with this idea. Modern life trains people to expect immediate results. Food arrives instantly. Entertainment arrives instantly. Products arrive instantly. Everything feels immediate. So people expect wealth to work the same way. But wealth operates on a completely different timeline. The greatest financial advantage is not the intelligence. It is patience. The ability to stay committed to a rugged plan long enough for the results to appear. This sounds simple, but it is incredibly rare. Most people quit too early. They stop investing during difficult periods. They abandon strategies before they mature. They become distracted by new opportunities. The parrot remains focused. The parrot understands that short-term noise rarely matters. A market decline next month? Not important. A scary headline next week? Not important. Temporary volatility? Not important. What matters is the long-term direction. The parrot focuses on decades, because decades create extraordinary outcomes. Consider two investors. One constantly reacts to every event. The other simply follows a plan for 30 years. Who do you think wins? History provides a clear answer. The patient investor almost always comes out ahead, because wealth rewards consistency more than activity. This is one of the most misunderstood concepts in finance. People assume more action produces better results. Often the opposite is true. The best investors frequently do less. Less trading, less reacting, less worrying, less predicting, more patience, more discipline, more consistency. The parrot understands that wealth is not built in dramatic moments. It is built in ordinary moments. Month after month, year after year, decade after decade. One decision at a time. One contribution at a time. One habit at a time. Most people never experience the full power of compounding because they interrupt the process. The parrot does not. The parrot stays the course. Eventually something remarkable happens. Time begins doing the heavy lifting. The investments grow. The habits compound. The wealth accelerates. What once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable. That's the reward for thinking in decades. That's why the parrot understands money better than most people. Because the parrot understands that the future belongs to those who can wait for it. Action plan. Let me give you a challenge. For the next 7 days, think like the parrot. Before making any purchase, ask yourself, does this increase my freedom or decrease it? Before making any investment decision, ask yourself, am I following a plan or chasing excitement? Before comparing yourself to someone else, ask, am I building wealth or simply trying to look wealthy? Write down your answers. Pay attention to your habits. Pay attention to your emotions. Pay attention to your impulses. Most financial breakthroughs don't begin with more money. They begin with greater awareness. This week, create an automatic savings system if you don't already have one. Review every recurring expense. Identify one purchase you can eliminate. Invest one amount toward your future, no matter how small. Plant one seed. That's all. One seed. The forest comes later. Final emotional closing. Remember the investor, the parrot from the beginning. The investor had more information, more news, more predictions, more opinions, more complexity. The parrot had something better, clarity. The investor spent years chasing opportunities. The parrot spent years following principles. The investor reacted to every storm. The parrot remained calm. The investor constantly searched for shortcuts. The parrot trusted the process. In that essay, the lesson, financial success is not about knowing everything. It is about doing the right things consistently. Most people already know what they should do. Spend less than they earn. Save regularly. Avoid unnecessary debt. Invest consistently. Stay patient. The challenge has never been knowledge. The challenge has always been behavior. Strangely enough, the parrot may understand it better than most humans, because the parrot doesn't care about looking rich. The parrot cares about being secure. The parrot doesn't chase every opportunity. The parrot follows a plan. The parrot doesn't panic during storms. The parrot trusts Jimmy. Over the course of a lifetime, those simple behaviors become extraordinary advantages. The truth is that wealth isn't built through complexity. It is built through simplicity repeated consistently, again, and again, until one day you wake up and realize something incredible. The financial stress is gone. The emergencies no longer feel overwhelming. The future no longer feels uncertain. You have options. You have flexibility. You have freedom. Not because you found a secret. Not because you got lucky. But because you followed principles that worked. The same principles the parrot understood all along. So the next time you are tempted by a flashy investment, a luxury purchase, a shortcut promising quick riches, or a headline designed to create panic, think about the parrot. Because the smartest investor in the room isn't always the loudest. Sometimes it is the one quietly sitting on a perch, ignoring the noise, following simple rules, and letting Jimmy do the rest. That's how wealth is built, and that's why this parrot understands money better than most people. The end.